You are in a meeting. Someone asks a question. You answer quickly. Then, 2 seconds later, you hear it. The sentence came out awkwardly. Nobody laughs, nobody looks shocked, the meeting moves on. But your mind does not move on. Why did I say it that way? Did they think I sounded stupid? Is this how people see me? This is not only overthinking. A small moment has become a threat to identity. The mind is no longer solving a problem in the meeting. It is repairing a damaged picture of the self. This is where Zhuangzi becomes interesting. Zhuangzi, or Master Zhuang, lived in China during the Warring States period, probably in the late 4th century BCE. It was an age of political violence and intense philosophical argument. The book called the Zhuangzi gives a strange answer. It does not offer a simple rule for becoming calmer or happier. It attacks the stiffness underneath our certainty, the way we defend our judgments, our reputation, our usefulness, and our story about who we are. So the question of this video is, why do we take the self so seriously that one awkward moment can feel like something we have to defend? Zhuangzi gives us 3 stories that answer this question from 3 angles: identity, action, and value. Story 1 is about identity, the butterfly dream. Zhuangzi dreams that he is a butterfly. In the dream, he is not a man thinking about being a butterfly. He is simply a butterfly, moving freely, unaware of Zhuangzi. Then he wakes up, and he is Zhuangzi again. But the story ends with a question. Was Zhuangzi dreaming he was a butterfly? Or is a butterfly now dreaming it is Zhuangzi? This is often treated as a puzzle about reality. But the dream also does something more practical. It makes identity less obvious. In ordinary life, we speak as if the self is a fixed object. I am intelligent. I am awkward. I am successful. I am behind. Zhuangzi's butterfly dream interrupts that habit. It asks us to notice that experience changes form. The person who felt certain yesterday can feel confused today. The mistake that feels permanent in the afternoon may look different by evening. This does not mean identity is fake. It means identity is alive. If the self is alive, then a single moment does not have the authority to define the whole person. One awkward sentence is not a verdict. One failure is not a permanent name. Zhuangzi calls this the transformation of things. The world is not a collection of frozen labels. Human suffering begins when we freeze one relation and call it the truth. The idea is transformation. You are not one fixed object, but a life-changing form across time and situation. Think about the awkward meeting again. The facts are simple. You said a sentence and it sounded imperfect. But the mind quickly builds a courtroom. It imagines witnesses, invents a verdict, and argues with people who are not even in the room. At that point, the mind is not investigating reality. It is defending one frozen version of you. Story 2 is about action, Cook Ding. One of the clearest stories is about Cook Ding, a butcher cutting up an ox for a ruler. The ruler watches him work and is amazed. Cook Ding's hands, shoulders, feet, knees, and knife all move together, almost like music. When the ruler praises his technique, Cook Ding says the important thing is not technique anymore. At first, he saw only the whole ox. After years of practice, he stopped seeing one solid object in front of him. He began to sense the spaces between the joints, the natural lines, the openings where the knife could pass. That is why his knife lasts for years. An ordinary butcher cuts by force and wears out the blade. Cook Ding moves through the gaps, and when he reaches a difficult place, he does not push harder. He slows down, becomes careful, and waits for the right opening. Zhuangzi is not praising laziness. Cook Ding is highly trained, but his mastery no longer looks like strain. He acts without making every action a fight. The idea is skillful responsiveness. Instead of asking, "How do I force this situation to match my plan?" Cook Ding asks, in effect, "Where are the openings? What does the situation itself allow?" In modern life, we often do the opposite. We meet uncertainty by tightening. In a difficult conversation, we prepare our defense before we have really listened. In creative work, we try to force an old outline even after the better idea has appeared. Cook Ding suggests a different kind of intelligence. Learn the structure of the situation, move with its grain, and save your energy for the places that actually require care. Zhuangzi's freedom is not escape from the world. It is learning to move inside the world without turning every obstacle into a battle with your ego. Story 3 is about value, the useless tree. Huizi tells Zhuangzi about a huge tree. Its trunk is twisted, its branches are crooked. A carpenter would reject it. By ordinary standards, it has failed at being useful. Zhuangzi's response is almost comic. Then why not plant it in a wide open field and wander beneath it? Since no one wants it for lumber, no one will cut it down. This story is easy to misunderstand. Zhuangzi is not praising incompetence. He is challenging a narrow definition of value. A society always has tools for measuring people. In our world, those tools often look like productivity, income, status, visibility, and speed. Even rest gets measured. The useless tree survives because it does not fit the carpenter's purpose. Its value appears only when we stop asking the carpenter's question. That is a serious lesson. Some forms of life are damaged by being forced into usefulness too quickly. Friendship becomes networking. Learning becomes credential collecting. Silence becomes wasted time. The idea is uselessness, but not as failure. It is freedom from a narrow measuring system. The useless tree is not worthless. It gives shade and escapes the axe. Now return to the meeting. You said one awkward sentence. The old reaction is to defend the self. Replay, repair, explain, prove. The Zhuangzi reaction is different. The butterfly dream asks whether this embarrassed version of you is the whole person. Cook Ding asks where the opening is. The useless tree asks what part of you is being forced into performance when it might simply need room to live. This is what it means to stop taking yourself so seriously. It does not mean becoming shallow. It does not mean ignoring responsibility. It does not mean that truth no longer matters. It means the self is no longer treated as a fragile monument. You can be serious about your work without making your job title your identity. You can admit you were wrong without feeling that your whole self has collapsed. Zhuangzi's philosophy is playful, but it is not lightweight. It teaches a difficult kind of freedom, to change form, act with skill instead of force, and value parts of life the world does not know how to measure. Maybe the point is not to stop having a self. Maybe the point is to stop gripping it so hard.